started extremely broad by looking at like the homeless issue within Wellington, and we funneled that down to the issue of them having a place to store their possessions during the day, so they have to carry it all the time. So that's obviously a huge burden. So we came up with this locker idea initially that had a locker in it that was accessed through touch, because remembering a code could be an issue. So that would be a space for them able to hold their goods, and then we had the idea of having a communal locker for the people that lived or that were using this space. And so we initially had the idea of having like hygiene packs as well as a sink, and then the idea of having a notice board that would be private for the people that were using this. We went and we visited two of the people that we initially talked to and explained this concept to them, and they really liked the idea of having the private lockers. They didn't really see the use of the hygiene packs, but they really liked the idea of having a community notice board within the space here that would only be private towards them. They didn't really like the idea of it, everyone being able to use it.
Particularly the public, and they sort of make comments about, you know, locating these in spaces that are private and things because they don't like to be too visible. And so with the prototype we drew up, we thought, you know, space for a notice board themselves. We'd also thought about having some charging stations, which we're still potentially talking about as an idea, so they could put their cell phone in, leave it to charge, come back. We thought about putting in Wi-Fi, but they do get access to Wi-Fi in all places around the city, so that's not such a thing that would be useful for them. And then, yeah, so we've got the...
So this was like the initial idea of the community one, but obviously like the notice board and pin board would like carry in, and that would probably be through this space as opposed to the sink and the hygiene packs.
Yeah, and so we're just talking now about you know, what you put in something like this. So we had sort of thought of sink and stuff, but given that that's potentially not as useful, someone mentioned cooking facilities could be a really useful thing, but we're just talking about logistics for that.
Just food hygiene. Yeah. Also, they mentioned that it would be good to have them, the places where they often sleep. So that was around the Courtney Place, Vivian Street, on the waterfront where that diving place is, as well as on Cuba Street. So it's all about, because like obviously like a lot of the things that we're putting there would be like what they use to sleep and that kind of stuff. So it would be a way near there, so it would be easier for them to access and use specifically for that. Anything else, guys?
Solar panel on the top.
Oh yeah, so it would be run off solar panels, so free run on just a small system.
And we thought they could
for
look.
the pin pads and for the cell phone charge. Yeah.
And we thought they could look really neat, maybe sculptural kind of element to it all, or we also thought of those little beach huts on, you know, bright beach and that, bright coloured and, you know,
maybe
just really nice.
We can ask for artists, graffiti artists, to print outside the box, so it's not like only useful but also arts of the city.
Don't get me wrong, I love it, but what would you say to somebody who would say you're enabling homelessness?
I would say we're more facilitating a way to make them have a better standard and enable them to have a better quality of life.
And they've said that they, you know, a lot of them have goals and just really want to move on, and it just gives them some bit more dignity, really.
And I don't think someone's going to become homeless so they can use a locker.
But in
So
your face challenges though, like businesses wouldn't be comfortable with one of those stations outside of there.
Well, I don't know. I think we've actually learned almost the opposite. We've kind of been learning how much businesses are helping the homeless in the inner city, giving them places to store things.
Charging their cell phones.
Yeah, Burger King is charging the cell phones.
So we've actually learnt the opposite, which has been quite cool. I mean, I'm sure that's not the case for everyone, but it was quite surprising how much it was.
I mean, that's very cynical as well, but we heard this morning that in Auckland, you know, they don't have anything for the homeless, and do you fear that they all might come down to Wellington?
Well, they are.
They already are.
Anyway.
Yeah.
And you know, this would be, we wouldn't be making an environment where they would linger around. It's just, you know, one.
I mean, I think it's a great idea.
One thing that they need is storage.
What kind of feedback did you get from the homeless people you showed it to?
So we got mixed. So the first guy, and actually the second guy we talked to described him as stubborn. So the first guy we talked to basically said that he wouldn't have a use for it. He likes to carry everything around in his bag. But then the second guy that we talked to basically said that, you know, he's stubborn and it does get heavy by the end of the day carrying a bag around.
And also, I think the first guy, he does have this problem. He's just found a different way of dealing with it. So, for example, Burger King stores all of his money that he gets during the day, and this gives them that ability to do that without that. And I think we've also learned about the complexity of the issue. So any solution we have isn't going to be for everybody, but the idea is that it's an easier way to deal with it. And the notice board is a lot about promoting and facilitating the community aspect that they've talked about as well.
This is could be taken as a compliment, but something you could probably build on that. I kind of noticed you said it was like you're making them feel less disenfranchised, like they're not like swept off the streets and like it's actually like, oh wow, the government's actually caring about them.
Well, that's
something to build on. Maybe?
That's why we were going for the sculpture art kind of thing, a pride and, you know, and it fits in with the Wellington kind of space with sculptures and art throughout.
This morning when you were saying about the guy who's like saving up money to get to Christchurch, and that's the thing I thought, and apparently he's going to get down there by Wednesday, right? I mean, I'm talking about putting pressure on someone who hasn't got any resources and stuff. So, you know, like all the resources that he has with him, but they're real vulnerable. And if he doesn't get down on Wednesday, kind of go, oh, it's going to be, it'll be. I think it's a great idea because it helps in those times when they're vulnerable, which basically means they have time to, you know, there's a risk that they spend more and more time homeless. So kind of it speeds stuff up and means that it's likely to.
Okay, that's
One last
great.
question.
No, I'm sorry, we're out of time. I recognise that there's probably we're going to have some really interesting discussions, and I'm also aware that you know, it's getting towards the end of the day, and we don't want to keep you guys here longer than you have to be here. So I'm really sorry to move it on.